Hey everybody, it's Anthony at Land Title. I came to bring you your Boulder County market update for the month and a couple of really important things going on here. Boulder as a whole is doing remarkably well right now and outpacing the Denver market for sure. If you look at this, look at our under contract numbers year over year for March. We're up 17% in under contract numbers. The sold numbers are up 5%, which are a little misleading because year to date, we're way through the roof, right? 22% increase in that. Active units is only up 14%. So more buyers are coming to market than sellers at this point, which is really important to know because it is not all in the same place. I think at this point in time, Boulder County is definitely not all created equal because in a transitioning market, these markets change pace at different speeds. And since Boulder tends to lead the charge, there are more people putting homes on the market in places like the city of Boulder or out in Superior or in Louisville. Now, sometimes those would be higher priced homes. And I think that's part of the reason you have more active inventory out there because those lower priced homes still tend to be selling faster. If you look at somewhere like a Longmont, or an Erie, right? Those type of markets are really having trouble keeping inventory in the market because those are your lower priced 800 to 500 price range where you can actually get something. And with the higher price of money, buyers are leaning that direction. So take a look at this month supply of inventory. It's been very stable since about December. That's pretty much an anomaly, right? That doesn't normally happen. Normally, you start to see inventory start to rise through the springtime, as you've seen over the last few years. But expect that to take place eventually. Just we've had enough buyers chipping away at the inventory coming on the market that we actually been selling more than we list. So here we are at 2.3 months of inventory across all markets. Boulder and Superior have over 3 months. Everything else has less than 2 months pretty much. So really tight markets in some of these markets. Other markets, it might be a little more balanced, right? So definitely use your local market information if you're going to be working with clients in these areas. I think the overlying trend is that days in MLS are going to be trending down all the way through that May-June timeframe. Assume somewhere around 30 probably. The median is definitely a lot less than where we are on the average right now. 59 days really reflects things in Boulder or out in Longmont that have been sitting on the market a long time that finally sold. And when that happens, you see this big boost in your days in MLS because the median being really low and then your average being really off weighted by some of those properties. Because if you look at places like Niwot, which had a few listings sell 5 days, right? Or Superior or Lafayette, 30 days, right? So those kind of markets are more of what you would expect to see the average right now. You're going to see this trend down really quickly. Now, if we look at it by price point, I think it's really important here to use these slides with your buyers and sellers because they can give you some of the overlying trends, right? From 2 million on up, we have had a slowdown in that market pretty substantially, largely still due to that cost of money, right? It's definitely getting slower. Now, that doesn't mean that nobody's buying. It's just inventory is starting to stack up again. Now, where we're seeing the most people re-enter the marketplace is from 500,000 to somewhere around the 2 million mark. Now, that being said, those numbers are still slower than we would have seen in a few years past, but compared to last year, things are really looking good. So it shows us a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Inventory is coming on board across all price ranges. So just those ones that have had less sales have really seen it add up. You can see it here, right? So anything under the million mark, less than 2 months of inventory, strong sellers market. Expect to see some of those multiple offer situations on the nicer homes. And then if you wanted that trade up potential, you could sell at some of those lower price ranges and move into some of the luxury stuff. And as you ratchet up, you're going to have substantially more inventory. Starting at 2.5 million, we have a lot more inventory. 9.5 months there, 14 months over 3 million. And it looks like the really buttoned up stuff is selling quickly, right? Really good locations, really good product type. Anything that may need a little bit of work and it's in the higher end doesn't appear to be selling nearly as much. And you can really see that at the 3+ million mark where you had 200 plus days in MLS because some of those homes that sold had been sitting for a long time. Now, that being said, the vast majority of the rest of the market under 2 million, you're going to see these speed up through the rest of the year. So, or through the middle of the year, right? So expect those to get down below 30 or into the 30s across most of those price ranges because there's a lot of pent up demand there, right? Just is really going to be kind of held up by that cost of money. Now, average sold price, I broke this down for you by detached and attached because the detached market on paper doesn't look great right now. Month over month dropped 11%. And so once we start to really dive into this a little bit, you can see the city of Boulder is where it had the largest drop. And it's really because very different product type is selling there than what you would normally see. But then you go out other places I mean, even look at somewhere like a Longmont, leads the charge in appreciation. Now, if you're using slides like this to work with clients on how is a market appreciating, we really like that TTM percentage change number. So you can see that most of these markets across detached have balanced out and they're really stable over the last year. Now, when we go over to the attached market has a lot more pressure on it in the last 6 months or a year because of that cost of money. So with more people looking into attached, you have higher levels of appreciation. The reason that you see really big negative numbers in a place like the city of Boulder is look at 22 and the beginning of 23. There are some really big projects that sold, really high-end stuff. And so once those kind of come out of the wash, we're really ratcheted that down back to a more median level, right? So I think the one thing, the last 3 months have been a little low for sales price in the attached market. This was a good sign to see it bump up like this, but you really got to look at those percentage changes and maybe think through this data a little bit. We don't sell a ton of attached outside of townhouses anymore. So newer townhouses do one thing, maybe some of these older condos in the city of Boulder do one thing, and then new development is a whole different thing, right? So there's definitely some more robustness to the attached market. Now, when we look at the sold units, I like this slide because I think it's optimistic. It's a fun one to share with clients. You can see that year to date, we're up 23% in Boulder County. These numbers look stellar, right? Over the course of the previous month to now, they bumped up a little bit, but this was maybe one of the best Februarys we've had in a very long time. The fun part about this, look at Erie and Lafayette, 75% increases in sales out there, which goes into the whole story of that $500,000 to $800,000 price range. Those more affordable products are really moving quick. People have stopped sitting on the sidelines. It looks like they're getting back into the market. I think this is a really good sign for the health of our market. So I like that one. It's worth sharing. The last slide I have for you is our percentage sold price to list price. This one really tells us, what's going on in the market. What's it feel like to buy or sell a home? We like this one too, largely because it has that purchase price point. So you can see based off of where they're shopping, what to expect. But the big thing is it's going to be competitive, right? It's going to be nothing like it was in 21 or 22, but we are definitely going to see a more competitive market than what we saw last year. So month over month, you're seeing that ratchet up. Year over year is a little bit lower, but it's kind of an anomaly, right? So coming into April, May, and June, and especially in the latter half of the year, depending on what interest rates do, you could really see this continue to rise and look good. So usually things rise in the springtime and then they plateau in a transitioning market if interest rates come down. Or vice versa, like you would see in 22, when we were in a transitioning market the other way, you would see this really big peak in the price in the spring market, and then it falls off quickly. So don't expect to see that. Expect to see the latter, where we might have more of a plateaued market this year, where we stick somewhere around 100% for a lot longer, assuming interest rates actually come down like everybody is thinking they're going to. So hopefully that helps. I'm Anthony at Land Title. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the videos. Otherwise, reach out to me if you need any local insights. I'll see you next time.